Check. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Please let the record show that Councilmember Villar is absent. All other council members are present.
Thank you very much. Mr. City Attorney, is there a need for closed session?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Our first item this evening is a conference with legal counsel as a result of anticipated litigation due to the significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2. We have 3 cases to discuss. Next, we have a conference with legal counsel as a result of existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1. We have 1 case to discuss. It's known as the In Re National Prescription Opiate Litigation Number 1:17 MD 02804 in the Northern District of Ohio. Next, we have a public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, Title City Manager. Lastly, we have our quarterly litigation strategy review, which will include the potential discussion of the following existing litigation cases pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1. City of Dana Point versus Sunshine Group, Orange County Superior Court, case number 30201700915900. Concerned residents of Dana Point versus City of Dana Point, Orange County Superior Court, case number 201901178892. Aguirre versus City of Dana Point, Orange County Superior Court, case number 30202101217610. And Center for Natural Lands Management versus City of Dana Point, Orange County Superior Court, case number 30202101219668. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any public comment on those closed session items?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Then we are recessed to closed session until 6 p.m. right. Now that we are all here, good evening and welcome to the Dana Point City Council meeting for December 7th, 2021. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight, led by Councilmember Mike Frost. Thank you very much, Mr. Frost. Not gonna lie, tonight's my last night as the mayor, and these are the best parts of being the mayor up here and certainly at the city council meetings. Tonight, we are going to present a proclamation for the business of the quarter to Doheny Bike and Mr. Jason Spates and his son, who are here on their behalf. You guys want to come up and join me up front? Is it working? All right. Jason, good evening.
Thank you.
So, Jason Spates is a resident of the city of Dana Point. Born in San Clemente, grew up in San Clemente, Capo Beach, Dana Point. All right, a local guy. And during the beginning of the COVID stuff, he and another local dad looking for something to do, and they decided to start Doheny Bike. So an e-bike store here on town with a storefront right on PCH across from the Plaza Park. And while that's a great service for our residents, we all know how popular e-bikes are. Doheny Bike and Jason are up here tonight because we want to recognize you guys as being valued members of the community. So Jason and Doheny Bikes have donated helmets, scooters, skateboards, adventure gear, and toys last year to our community center to help some of our residents who were suffering from some of the financial impacts of COVID. Jason's taken part in a helmet safety giveaway and doing another one on December 18th, right? This time at your store. So I'll let you hit the details of it here when we're done. How about that? So we don't screw it up. And some things that even maybe the city doesn't know and aren't here on the plaque. Doheny Bike made a very generous donation to the Pet Project Foundation this year to their annual fundraiser. For those who don't know who the Pet Project Foundation are, Pet Project Foundation is our nonprofit partner who helps over at the animal shelter where I'm a board member. He donated an electric bike there, which was a very successful live auction item. And Jason also and his family were recently involved in putting together a GoFundMe for a family at his school where the kids go who, if that family needed a vehicle, was without a vehicle and they were walking to school every day. Is that right?
Yeah, my mom was walking. I used to do right across the street from here down the Della Vista.
And Jason made a very generous personal donation, but more importantly, rallied the community around making sure that they could get a car. And Jason's other business ventures is that he's a vehicle lender and was able to find a vehicle for this family. Just a very generous person for our community, sort of the best example of what I think is a business who is also a valued participant in our community. So we want to, especially now, last plug for the Chamber of Commerce at Christmas season, when as we were thinking about giving this, we wanted to give this to a local retailer and remind people that it's also a great time to shop local and support those businesses that are really very much an important part of our community. So, Jason, the city of Dana Point takes great pleasure in featuring Doheny Bike at 34163 Pacific Coast Highway as the business of the quarter. We're thrilled to see your business thrive and flourish. Said a bunch of nice things about you. All the rest of them are here in the plaque. On behalf of the City Council and the City of Dana Point, we congratulate Doheny Bike on your recognition as Business of the Quarter. Thank you for your partnership and all your contributions to the community. We wish you continued success in the future. There you go.
I didn't know I was saying something tonight. So we're gonna do another helmet drive. The last one we did was at the farmers market. It was really successful. We gave away approximately 75 helmets. So this one is Santa's gonna be there. We're doing it with Monique over at the community center. Thank you, Kelly, for helping with that. Saturday, December 18th. Oops, let me grab that, buddy. We're going to be doing toys, helmets, and water bottles for that. So I want to thank the city of Dana Point for being super business friendly. I want to thank the chamber for moving so I could have your location on PCH. And I look forward to putting more bikes into the town and keeping, obviously the riders safe by promoting helmet safety. So we'll probably be doing another helmet giveaway or 2 or 3 next year. So thank you very much. Thank you, City Councilman.
Thanks, Jason, Doheny Bike, and we got a couple other good plugs in there too, huh? Chamber of Commerce. All right. Moving on with business tonight. Reading the ordinance titles. Madam Clerk, are there any ordinance titles to read?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so that brings us to our consent calendar. All the matters listed under the consent calendar continue to be routine, are considered to be routine, enacted by one roll call vote. There's no separate discussion on these items unless they are pulled from the consent calendar. Are there any items to be pulled by the public, Madam Clerk?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Staff, Mr. City Manager,
No, sir.
Council? No, then I will move the consent calendar items.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Those all pass. Completes up through item number 10 of the agenda. Moving right along tonight. Brings us to public comments. We do have some public comments tonight. I will remind our public speakers that you have a 3-minute time limit. We have an overall time limit of 30 minutes for public comment. If there's more than that, we'll finish them out at the end of the meeting. All comments are to be directed at the city council and shall not consist of any personal attacks. We ask members of the public to maintain a professional, courteous decorum in their comments and remind you that state law prohibits the city council from taking action on any specific item unless it already appears on the agenda. So with that said, our first public speaker tonight is Mr. Wayne Yost from Dana Point.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, staff, members of our community. For the last year, our city has been governed by a rock-hard, steady hand amongst our mayor and our city council. It's been done with a lot of calmness and deliberation, and I want to speak on behalf of everybody in the city that I talk to, and we really appreciate all that you've done over this past year. We know there have been some challenges, and you seem to have overcome them. And we just want to thank you for your strong leadership and wish you all a very happy holiday.
Thank you, Wayne. Our next speaker, Mr. Dana Yarger from Dana Point.
I echo the previous speaker, wishing you all a great holiday. Nice to see you, Mr. Mayor, all the council members. I want to express my gratitude for the supports we've been given for this public art exhibition involving the elephants. And to let you know formally that the exhibition was extended. Some of you know that it's under a license by a company in Europe to host this thing. And there's fees involved and that's supported privately. Elephant Parade has become even more well-known throughout the world in over 20 countries that has hosted the same and similar event. And hopefully that from the thousands of people that have seen it, who've told 10 people, told 10 people, that adds up to 100,000 people. More people have enjoyed this experience, which just leads us to hopefully continuing the idea of public art of whatever form and venture, and especially where I am in the Lantern District. You know, the harbor has an ocean to attract people. We have some empty lots that hopefully are being worked on and being filled soon. But in front of you was kind of a, gee, did you know fact. I know some of you do, and some of you knew Carlos Olvera, but a mastodon was discovered in the development of Doheny Beach and Capistrano Beach in the 1930s or so. So the elephants have a right to be here, I guess, and we can enjoy that fun fact. Apparently a while ago, 25,000 years ago, but it is, we'd hope that Dana Point will continue its legacy. So many people have said, can we find a way to keep more of them in Dana Point, remote, out in the parks, whatever, as part of the public art collection, and have Dana Point be another destination, not only for public art in general, but for this unique environment. And those of you who have kids, or those of you who've been out and seeing the kids, seeing 3, 4, 5-year-old kids try to say the word, you know, and the joy they have are coming up and hugging them. That is a joy I think that Dana Point, the quality of the community deserves, and that for years to come, when people and families come to Dana Point to you know, stay at the resorts, go to the beach, do whale watching, go back to Disneyland, there'd be another low cost, no cost feature, of which Dana Point already has a number of elephants that it owns in public art. But the idea of maybe building a herd as part of its permanent collection, Dana Point then would be known as the first city in North America, and frankly, the second city in North America. I'm currently working on a project, 7 seconds left, with 60 elephants in Brazil that we're trying to bring to the United States. And they will tour with the Brazilian embassy and the Brazilian consulates. So there's more to come for that international project. I thank each of you. I love all you guys. I really appreciate and ladies, what you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yarger. Our next speaker is Donna Molina from Dana Point.
Hello, everybody. First time here addressing the city council. I guess my main complaint is Project Social. 3 weeks ago, there was a very large, loud, I'm not sure the officers here are aware of it, wedding, whatever. Tried to call the non-emergency number for the sheriff's department. The lines were so tied up with everybody in our neighborhood and probably Laguna Niguel across the street calling to have someone come out with a decibel meter, and resorted to calling 911 and was told by the sheriff's department, there's nothing they can do about it. And after I asked them, maybe bring out a decibel meter because they are very loud, they said, nope, not going to do it. They have a permit. Since May of 2019, Project Social has been an issue in Monarch Beach. The residents that sit up on the hill behind the Monarch Beach, that center, our complaints are falling on deaf ears because it continues to have, which in the administrative permit, minor conditional use and permits, they're getting deliveries at 6 a.m. They're getting deliveries of beer kegs that they're dropping on concrete. it's quite startling because it sounds like it is in my backyard. I've complained to code enforcement with nothing being done. I, their hours are constantly changing. I just think they're a nuisance. We've gone from loving our house to hating living there. And I really love living in Dana Point, but I hate my house. Sorry. I don't know what else I can say. I just hope somebody does something about it. There's kids that live there, little kids who we can't put to bed because of the screaming and the yelling and the drinking and the employees partying after the restaurant is closed in the alley. Some of you have said you love Dana Point and love living here. I used to.
Thank you, ma'am. Your time is up. Your points are duly noted, and the staff can reach out to you. We are well aware of, in particular, that issue from 3 weeks ago, and the staff will follow up with you directly. Thank you. Our next speaker is Vicki McMurchie from the Dana Point Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening. My name is Vicki McMurchie. I'm the Executive Director of the Dana Point Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of the more than 350 business members in the Chamber, we wanted to recognize and thank outgoing Mayor Federico for all of his hard work and dedication to the city and its citizens over the last 12 months. Taking the reins as a leader during a global pandemic is no easy task, but Councilman Federico never hesitated to step in, show up, or advocate for our small business community at any opportunity, even just minutes ago. He's volunteered at countless chamber events, even when he wasn't aware he was volunteering. He was voluntold. He showed up to our meetings and made himself accessible to our members and our staff. He's cut dozens of ribbons and welcomed new businesses to town, celebrating their investment in Dana Point. He recognizes the value of our organization and directed many businesses our way if they had any questions about COVID modifications, granting opportunities, PPP funding, etc. He championed our Small Business Week marketing campaign, and he even wore a turkey costume while running 3 miles in the turkey trots, which he instantly regretted. He has repeatedly gone above and beyond to ensure that the chamber and the city's relationship was not just maintained, but strengthened and grew, even in the most challenging times. It's been a pleasure getting to work with you over the last year, and of course, we look forward to working with you and all of the council in the years to come, and is what is sure to be exciting times for the growth and development of Dana Point. Thank you. Happy holidays. Shop local.
Thank you, Vicki. I'll give you $5 later. No, thank you sincerely. That is the end of our public comments. Is that right, Madam Clerk? Okay. That brings us to item number 11 on the agenda tonight, which is a public hearing. It is the appeal of the Planning Commission's decision to deny the appeal and uphold the Community Development Director's approval of a minor site development permit, SDP 21-009M, to construct an addition greater than 10% of the non-conforming structure at 34732 Calle Fortuna. This is a continuation of an item from our November 2nd, 2021 meeting. Do we have the appellant and the applicant in the room already? Okay. Do we want to have them probably in the room? We can bring them in. I know. Thank you. All right. If there are any other interested parties in this public hearing that are outside, if they cannot hear, if somebody outside can just, make sure they let us know. just administratively for everyone involved, this is a continuation of the public hearing that we started on November 2nd at our meeting here. And the council voted to continue it until tonight to give the appellant and the applicant some time to talk through these issues. We're going to run it. We're going to reopen this public hearing, run it similarly to the way we did last time. The difference is for the appellant and the applicant, I'm going to give each of you 3 minutes to talk. We heard the basis of the appeals last time. We heard the comments from the applicant last time, and really what we're looking for is any updates that we might learn from that have occurred since then. So with that said, do we have a staff report? Oh, hello. Belinda, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mayor Federico and City Council members. My name is Belinda Dinas, Principal Planner. As noted by Mayor Federico, this appeal request was continued from the November 2nd public hearing by the council. After receiving testimony from all parties, the City Council recommended that the appellant and property owner meet and discuss issues raised in the appeal letter. On November 15th, the property owners submitted a letter to the city stating they met with the applicant on November 9th. As recommended by council, our parties met to discuss the issues specifically related to view, sunlight, and home value. After the meeting, the applicant notified city staff that no changes would be made to the SDP application and submitted plans. City staff inquired to the appellant for a written response following the meeting, and the appellant also submitted a letter to the city on November 30th. Both letters are attached as supporting documents to the council agenda report. As such, staff reviewed the comments raised in the letters and found that the project it continues to be consistent with all applicable requirements of the Dana Point zoning code and the specific factors and principles to approve the minor site development permit. Staff recommends that the city council deny the appeal and sustain the planning commission's decision to uphold the director's approval. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding the project and the staff report. If needed, the presentation slides from the last meeting are available for reference. The applicant and property owner and the appellants are here to address the council as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dinas. Before we open the public hearing, council members, do you have any questions for the staff? Doesn't look like any. With that, we will reopen, as it were, the public hearing. Madam Clerk, I have comments here from the appellant, from the applicant, and then one other interested party. Is that right? Are those all the ones we have so far?
Correct.
Okay, then Mr. Egner, the appellant, 3 minutes, please, sir.
Great, thank you. Mayor, council members, thank you very much. And Mr. Mayor, thank you for your service for this last 12 months. I want to thank all of you for the opportunity that you gave us to get together and try to resolve the problem. I really felt the spirit in which that was intended was the right approach. Unfortunately, it didn't get anywhere. Once again, the applicant's architect really drove the meeting, began the meeting by interrogating me with open-ended questions about how I would propose to fix the problem or solve the problem. I made it clear that I wasn't an architect. I made it clear that they had over 60 years worth of experience sitting in that room, and that I'm open to ideas. After continuing to be pressed, I shared my opinion with them about alternatives, which included even building 3/4 of the way out over the garage, preserving some of our view while they still enjoyed the view, contrary to the letter that I just realized that I just found that was submitted. You know, they never intended on resolving the problem. Again, it was another opportunity for them to create the illusion that they were trying to resolve this, and it's unfortunate. And here we are. So I don't want to relitigate the facts, but I do want to remind the council of a couple key points. And the first one, this isn't about arguing the legal position on a protected view. This is about the fact that their proposed plans do not meet the requirements, contrary to what the City Plan Commission said, that it does not positively contribute to the neighborhood, which is part of the municipal code, to be exact, section 9.63030. It does not. We have submitted evidence demonstrating how the proposed construction will not positively contribute to the neighborhood, including various illustrations demonstrating how our home will be negatively impacted by the proposed construction. In response, the applicants have not produced any evidence to refute this or counter these points. Well, they want to continue to move forward with their plans. They do not positively contribute to the neighborhood, taking into account the substantial negative impact proposed construction will have on our home, which that does not meet the code. This fact, if it's not relevant, then what was the purpose of the city informing us that we had a right to appeal? Because at the end of the day, if we can't challenge this and how it will negatively impact, I'm sure it wasn't just to determine whether or not the new construction met code. You can drive down any street in Capitol Beach and find, especially District 5, and find homes under construction and they're rebuilding everywhere. So my question is, what's next? What's next for the city council? Who's going to be up here next after me? Who's going to be up here challenging a neighbor that's building over a non-conforming structure? Because that's what this is about, and this will not make it conforming. And so you're going to be continuously litigating this situation about people coming in saying this is going to negatively impact our home. I was told by an employee of the city planning that the director was going to approve the plans before it even went through. I was told that once the director, if I appealed it, yes, that the commission was going to deny my appeal. I was told that, and I was told it would be punted to the city council, and here we are. That's unfair. That's unfair to you, and it's unfair to me. So what's next? Is it going to be continually litigated through the city that every time an applicant has an issue, that it's just punted to the city council? And then you're going to be confronted with the situation where you're going to either have to acquiesce to the path of least resistance or have to be forced to have to discriminate possibly when you have to figure out all the details and the nuances of each one of those non-conforming issues. Non-conforming in which way? Is it a foot? Is it 2 feet? Is it 3 feet? That's not fair. That's not right. We need to send a message to the city that we're going to stand up and make sure that there's integrity in what we do, and that it's not just going to be rubber stamped by the director and the planning commission, then turn around and tell the appellate, obey or else. We have to control this, because you're going to have a line of people out here, a line of people standing up saying, wait a minute, this is not what we bargained for. This city is changing for good reason. I get it. It's changing. But my home is being negatively impacted, and others are going to follow. And it's going to be this non-conforming issue. And eventually, the city is going to be entangled in litigation to try to the interpretation.
Mr. Egner, that's 5 minutes, actually. If
I'm
you
sorry,
could just
I'm sorry.
find a way to succinctly summarize.
I'm sorry. And so we don't want the city's resources to be dealing with somebody that comes along and wants to argue the interpretation of whether or not they're a neighbor and it impacts the neighborhood, okay, whether or not it meets the code. So if my appeal is denied, they're going to move forward. But if my appeal is upheld, they still have choices. This council, Mr. Mayor, and the architect said himself, well, we can just pull the plans and make the garage conforming. We are prepared to face that reality. That if you uphold my appeal, they will still have that choice. If they want to continue to move forward with that house and destroy the value of my home, then let that be what they have to go through by making that garage conforming, because this isn't going to end. This is going to be a line of people coming through here with these situations. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Culp, you will now have 6 minutes because we went over there on our 3 minutes, and I'll give you equal time. All right.
Thank you, Mayor.
Can we do that over there, Madam Clerk?
Right. Yeah, we did meet up again. You know, our first conversation was back the first week of January. So we rehashed it, like Mr. Egner said. Really, same situation. You know, the current plan is what meets the needs of our family. The current plans were the intention of us buying the home 5 years ago. It met city code then, seems to meet it now. If you're familiar with Capitol Beach, it's everywhere. There, prime example would be right across the street. Built an ADU right over their garage, right next to another 2-story. There's 2 stories next to 2 stories all over Capitol Beach. Look at Calle Maria today. Plans that have been submitted and approved by the city, they're wiping out single stories. They're building 2 stories right next to other 2 stories. It's everywhere. I don't know why we're still here. 8 months later, we're still talking about this. I don't get it. I just don't get it. But here we are. Non-conforming, maybe, maybe not. I mean, I've got a tape measure. I had neighbors come over. My tape measure shows 20 feet by 20 feet in my garage. But here we are. I've spent thousands of dollars over a non-conforming permit that I just don't get. I don't get why we're here. I submitted the plans. It seemed to be approved. Now we're here. So I really have nothing further to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. One more speaker. It looks like Michelle Kasler from Capistrano Beach. I have that correct?
Thank you for letting me speak this evening. I'm Michelle Kassler. I live across the street from Butch and Shelley. In 2020, I had the ADU built above my parents' garage. It's 548 square feet. It's attached to the main house, and it turned out quite nice. Early in the construction, I got a call from my contractor, and he says, "We may have a problem." A neighbor came up to him and said that Butch is trying to get the neighbors to stop this project. And my contractor said, "We're going to proceed forward until we hear further from the city." It was put out there that this was something my parents were doing for additional income. That's not the case. I had it built with my own money. So about a week went by, I was there, and I had another neighbor come up and said, "Michelle, there's a neighbor here that's against the project." I said, "Yes, I understand. It's Butch. He's not happy about it." And that was just very frustrating because it was just frustrating for me. My parents bought their home in 1965, brand new. I was 3 years old when we lived there. I grew up on that street. And my parents had no intention to upset neighbors, to devalue anybody's property. It was something that I was building for myself above their garage. So time passed a little bit, and Butch drove up to my contractor and said, "Well, you know what the daughter's going to do when the parents pass away. I don't even know what I'm going to do. I have options. And when they do pass, that's going to be my decision and my decision only. Not anybody else's, not any of the neighbors, my decision." And I found that very upsetting, and that upset my dad, that he made a remark like that. Someone who stands up here and wants to be a pillar of his community to say and make a remark like that is very upsetting. So my dad went and talked to him about it. And he said several things. He says, one, I have money and I have connections. I can stop this project. Two, the same thing that he told Jeremy, that doing this project isn't going to add any value. The valuation of my home is going to go down. It's not going to conform to the neighborhood. There's going to be people coming and going, just negative, negative, negative. And if the situation was reversed, I know he would be upset. We're living in different times now, and families are working from home, kids are coming back home. And I just found this very upsetting that this took place. It got done in September of 2020. We've had positive feedback on it. And I'm not expecting everybody to like everybody's home. We're not going to like certain styles. We're not going to like how our neighbor paints their house. We're not going to like how they landscape it, but that's their choice. That's their property. And we have to respect that to a point. And with the situation with the Culp family, you know, I couldn't believe that, you know, because there's been 2 altercations between Butch and Jeremy, and they haven't been pretty in the neighborhood. I didn't see the first altercation. I did see the second one. Butch was in his face, yelling at him, pointing his finger at him.
Can you give me about another 30 seconds, ma'am,
Yes.
and then wrap it
What
up?
I'm saying is that it's too bad that it has come to this, and I hope you guys make the right decision for the Culp family. It would be a loss if they would have to move to go find a bigger home. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Madam Clerk, no more public comments. Is that correct?
No.
My character has just been in question. I think it's appropriate that I respond.
Actually, it's not, sir. If we have any questions about it, we can ask you, but it's not.
I would hope that someone would. This is.
Thank you. I'm going to close the public hearing. And bring it back here to the city council for any questions or motion. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for counsel for city attorney. One of the bases on which the appeal is being made is that it violates Dana Point zoning code 9.63.030, and that this does not positively contribute to the neighborhood. Of course, I've read that section and I've read the appeal, and what my question for you is defining what that means. Is that open to interpretation, or is there some type of guide as to what that might mean, or historical precedent we might rely on?
This is a very good example of what it means when you're making a discretionary decision. These are the kinds of factual findings that you have to use your discretion to determine if you can make the finding. The Planning Commission felt as though it could make that finding, and the resolution contains facts that support their finding to that effect. And if the council feels that they can make that finding, then that's within your discretion and your purview to make it. And if you feel like you can't, then again, that's also in your discretion and your purview.
Any other questions? Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is for Ms. Wisniewski. Brenda, when we talk about a non-conforming property that we're going to expand, are they allowed to build over the non-conformance?
Yes, they can build and maintain the nonconformance. They cannot expand upon the nonconformance. So in
But-
this,
But would that be considered expanding on the non-conformance if you build over the garage in the non-conforming area that's inside the setback and they go up? Is that not expanding it?
so the existing garage is encroaching the setback. The addition will not be. The addition will comply with the setback.
Okay, okay. Okay, so, and I think we talked about this a month ago when we were here. If the applicant would have scraped the house and started over and could build the exact same thing without the non-conformance, the master bedroom be in the same spot, and we wouldn't be here having this conversation, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so they're not over height, they're not asking for any variances.
That is correct. The
They're only asking
only
for the conditional use
nonconformity.
permit because of the non-conformance.
That's
on
correct.
the garage. And the addition is outside of the non-conformance.
That's correct.
Okay, are there a lot of other ADUs, two-story homes in this area?
There are several two-story homes. I'm not sure about the number of ADUs.
Okay, well, we know of at least one across the street, so.
That's correct.
And this is not an ADU, this is just an expansion of the property, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
No question. I have one question. It's either for probably Ms. Dinah's or the architect, someone very familiar with the building itself. I understand that the existing garage may or may not be inside of the setbacks and non-conforming. Whether that was or was not, in fact, pretend we scrape this parcel, this building, and rebuild. Could the second story of this building hypothetically be bigger and still within the envelope of setbacks and height than the proposed project?
Correct. The upper story proposed addition is offset from the required setback, approximately 4 feet from the front and 6, I believe, 4 or 6 feet from the side. And so in theory, the garage and the 2-story could be built at the 5-foot line and the 20-foot line of the front.
The building could hypothetically be bigger. The second
Correct.
story could be bigger.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions up here? Motions? Mr. Frost?
I'll move the recommended action to deny the appeal.
Mayor Pro Tem Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is very difficult for me. I was hoping there could have been a resolution. We can't make that happen, but I'm going to go ahead and second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion, comments? Mr. Frost, go ahead as the maker of the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For those of you who don't know, I live in the Lantern Village, and I'll tell you what, I think nonconformance is probably the majority of our properties, well over 50%. So I wanted to talk, I'll go thoroughly through sort of my evaluation process, and to the extent that helps our development department in the future, I hope it does. First of all, I do think, well, obviously, other things being equal, would have loved to have had the community, the residents get together, come to a good conclusion. Of course, it's clearly not everything's equal. I do think a nonconformance is a form of a variance. It's an existing variance. I'm not sure why we don't call it that, but because it is, we're able to sort of look at a nonconformance through the same sort of evaluation process as a standard variance. And the first is, hey, is it reasonable? Incidentally, for yourself, Mr. Architect, for your Selva property, I thought that was a reasonable request for the variance. And for a nonconformance, it's existing. Somebody built it long ago. Whoever built Mr. Culp's property probably misstaked it by 7 inches. It's certainly reasonable that you request to be able to do this project. And then, so the second piece of the evaluation is, at least in my mind, and this is very subjective and discretionary, but does the variance itself or does the nonconformance itself hurt the existing adjacent neighbors? Does it? For the Selva property, the variance request was height. In my discretion, it certainly hurt the adjacent neighbor. But look at this project, 7 inches, 3 inches, 5 inches from the front of the property. Not one piece of documentation have I seen anything to say that the nonconformance is hurting the neighborhood. Right? And considering the fact that Mr. Culp could go scrape it, in layman's terms, the question is, should we make Mr. Culp go fix his garage just to build over his house? That seems ridiculous to me. This is, I would understand if the variance or the nonconformance was so great that it hurt the adjacent neighbors, maybe a 1-car garage and maybe a 1-car driveway, and now there's going to be cars parked all over the street. But geez, we're talking about 3 inches, 5 inches, 7 inches. And so when you look at, hey, should somebody have to fix the nonconformance to do the project? In my discretion, the answer would be no.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Vixork?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start by echoing the comments. Obviously, none of us are, I guess, pleased that this couldn't be worked out. We obviously want our residents to live together in harmony, but sometimes that's not the way of the world. So here we are, and sort of an answer to that question of why we're here. The law does allow for the appeal to be here, and that's the system that we have set up so that hopefully there's fairness to all sides involved, and everyone will understand that we did take it seriously and concerns were heard, and ultimately we are going to make a decision, meaning one side, I guess, will walk out of here feeling that they won and the other side will feel like they lost. We were hoping to avoid that situation, and obviously, hopefully, whatever the decision is, there could be some type of reconciliation. I don't know. The reason I bring that up is I mentioned last time we sit up here now in a quasi judicial function. That means quasi means sort of judicial. So we're hearing an appeal, but we don't necessarily, we can look beyond just legal reasoning. And I think that's what we did last time when we tried to encourage the parties to solve this without a decision by us. But now that we are back here, I think we need to turn to the judicial part of what it is we're doing, and which was sort of the basis for my question, looking through the arguments being made by the applicant in a judicial process, even a quasi judicial process. The applicant does have the burden to overturn the decision that's being made. And so far we have a decision, two decisions, one by the community development director and then by the planning commission. So the burden does fall on the applicant to convince us that this would violate our code. And so obviously I read the appeal and I looked through the codes, and hence my question, what is the meaning of positively contributing to the neighborhood? And as you heard, it's a floating concept. It's at our discretion what that really means. And to me, I'll have to explain why I'm voting the way I am, because the word neighborhood does mean more than just one house. So if the argument is this does not positively contribute to my home, that, I mean, while it's meaningful, but the neighborhood is bigger than just one other home. And what I would have hoped for to carry that burden would be that there would be other members of the neighborhood also talking about the negative impacts that this might have on the neighborhood as a whole. And we didn't hear that. Unfortunately, we only heard from one other neighbor who was, I don't think, arguing that position. So when I look at it in our role as a quasi judicial body and have to make a determination whether we should uphold the decision of the planning commission or grant the appeal and overturn it, I think that the burden that is on the applicant to show that this does not positively contribute to the neighborhood just hasn't been carried. So I'm going to vote to deny the appeal. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Victoric. Mayor Pro Tem Miller, anything?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hate going after Rick. He's so eloquent. Yeah, I don't want to make light of this. The reason I brought this up last time, and Councilmember Victoric hit it right on the head, is this is about neighbors and this is about neighborhoods. And I've lived in neighborhoods that the neighbors didn't get along. And it's not a place you really want to be. At least I didn't. And I was hoping that something could come out of this, that we would give it a shot. Because, you know, there have been two decisions on this. And Ms. Wisniewski hit it right on the head. We're not increasing the nonconformity. This is happening inside an area of the structure that you could build it anyway. You could actually make it larger if you wanted to. And it doesn't increase the nonconformity. And again, it's inches. And it could be nonconforming because the city of Dana Point adopted its own zoning and building codes after the County of Orange, and their codes could be a little bit different from ours. And so it's legal non-conforming because we changed our codes, not because a developer built it incorrectly. And so you can't really put that burden on the homeowner when they bought that. It was pre-existing, and we have something called legal non-conforming because of that. So when I look at what's going on here, it is very unfortunate that these two neighbors couldn't come together on this. However, it is on the appellants. It's their burden to show us that there was a negative impact. And after we hear this, both sides of this argument, I just can't see where the negative impact is. If the applicant scraped it, they could build something much larger, would have a much larger impact on the neighbor, and it would be conforming. It would be within our building codes, and we wouldn't even be here discussing it because of that. So I just don't think I can uphold the appeal. I think I'm going to have to, and that's why I seconded it. I'm going to have to vote to deny.
Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem Miller. And I'm glad that Councilmember Vixoric talked about the positive contribution to the neighborhood, because I know that was a key element in the appeal itself. We could argue that for people who don't like the color gray, every gray house is a negative impact on the neighborhood, right? Where do we draw that line? I think if this construction goes through, when you all on that street on Calle Fortuna look at Zillow and the comps on your homes in a couple of years, you will see that a $200,000+ investment in your neighborhood is a positive contribution to your neighborhood. That being said, it might not be a positive contribution to what the left side of your home looks like, or what you're used to it looking like. But in the bigger picture, we have to look at the bigger picture. There's one final thing I want to say before we call a vote is I want to be very clear that the Culps have not done anything wrong here. If they were bad neighbors, they would have gone back after our last meeting, told their architect to scrape the whole thing and submit a plan for a big, ugly box that hits the envelopes of the setbacks and the heights that are allowed by our city. And I actually I felt some risk when we did this last time. I almost voted no when we did this last time, just to not give the opportunity, the unintended consequence of creating some worse bad neighborship over there. The Culps have done nothing wrong. They have a non-conforming garage. They're building a conforming addition above it. We could force them to scrape the garage and start over, but I'm not going to do that to them. And it's like some comments have been made earlier tonight. That second story is going up in that envelope either way. The only difference is whether we force them through the headache of already doing it. And quite frankly, we've run them through the ringer, and they've spent thousands of dollars on their architect and their own time already to get to this point. To put a lot of scrutiny into this, and it sounds like we all are going to decide. We understand and we hear the appeal. We understand how it feels to have something change next door to you in your neighborhood, but ultimately, I believe our residents have the right to do what they want in their property within the envelope of what our zoning code says they can build. So with that, any more comments or questions? Madam Clerk, why don't you call a roll call vote?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Frost.
Aye.
Councilmember Vixoric.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
Aye.
Mayor Federico.
Aye.
That motion passes 401 with Councilmember Villar absent.
Thank you to both sides and to the members of the public who came to talk about that issue. Good luck over there on Calle Fortuna, neighbors. Moving on to new business. Item number 12 is Doheny Village Public Art Mural. I have a recusal. So Mayor Pro Tem Miller, you get to run this item. You want please excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll wait until you leave the chamber. Okay, so item number 12 is the Doheny Village Public Art Mural. The recommended action is that the City Council authorize the installation of a mural on private property at 34281 Doheny Park Road and approve the budget adjustments listed in the fiscal impact section. who's going to give us the
Assistant City Manager Kelly Renders will
All right.
provide the staff report.
Ms. Renders?
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council members. Tonight before you is a proposed mural for the wall located at 34281 Doheny Park Road. The building in Doheny Village containing the United States Postal Service. At the request of the City Council to move forward a beautification plan prepared by the Doheny Village Beautification Committee, the city's Arts and Culture Commission launched a call for artists for the design and installation of a mural for that site. The commission also formed an ad hoc selection committee to assist the building owner and the city manager's office evaluate submissions. The city received 12 submittals for the mural, and the selection committee unanimously decided on the design submitted by Interior Branding's Soterios Agonosto. The selection committee, which included the building owner, worked with Soterios on the figures depicted in the mural to reflect local legends and notable Dana Point figures. Soterios also secured the rights to use those images, and the final product is on display this evening. The budget for the mural is $5,000. We're asking for an additional $2,500 for building preparation. The mural will be printed on a 3M vinyl product similar to the material used for the utility box wraps, which we have found to be vibrant, durable, easy to maintain, and overall well received by the community. Should the City Council move forward, the city will maintain the artwork in good condition over the life of the installation. The building owner, Mr. Shade, and among others, are excited about the mural. Installation would be planned for first quarter of next year with the community celebration and ribbon cutting. And we've been talking about art in Doheny Village for a couple of years now, so it's exciting to have a project in front of you tonight to kick that off. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Renders. Any questions from council currently? No? Okay, we have public comments. We have received one public comment via email from Ashley Keene. This has been distributed to the different council members, so we're all aware of it and have had a chance to read it. In person, we have one public comment from Nancy Jenkins.
Thank you. I'm here as a part of the subcommittee that worked on this with Assistant City Manager Kelly Renders, and I am in support of it. But I just wanted to point out that I really think if we looked at the background in your agenda, and it says that our Assistant City Manager Kelly Renders has been working on this for 2.5 years. This has been a long, arduous process. And it's had many ups and downs. And I think what we've come up with is finally a very nice project. If you can see over there, the two questions of this was really, did they want the vinyl or did they want just to paint it on a wall like you see a lot of murals? And after a lot of discussion, it will last longer with the vinyl. And then the question came up about graffiti and how, if heaven, we don't want that to happen, but if it did, could that be rectified or would you have to take the whole thing down? And that can be taken care of with the vinyl. So I am in support. And I think that it will be a great addition, not only to our Waterman's Park, but I think it reflects Capo Beach, that industrial area very well, but it also reflects the whole total city and shows how we have the whole surfing endeavor. So thank you. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. Is that the end of public comments, Madam Clerk?
Yes,
Okay, I'll go ahead
Mr.
and
Pro
close
Tem, Mayor
public
Pro Tem.
comments and bring it back to the, excuse me? Okay. Bring it back to council for questions or comments or a motion.
I'll move the recommended action.
Second.
Okay. Any comments? No? Madam Clerk, we call a vote.
Councilmember Frost,
Aye.
Councilmember Victoric,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Miller,
Aye.
and that motion passes 3-1-1 with Mayor Federico recused and Councilmember Villar absent.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Congratulations. Well done, Ms. Renders. And Ms. Jenkins, great job on the subcommittee. That's a beautiful mural. So thanks for your hard work.
All right. Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem Miller. That brings us to Final item on the agenda tonight, council reorganization. We're going to vote to pick a new mayor pro tem tonight, aren't we? So, Madam Clerk, I think we will call for nominations and then turn it over to you to handle voting. Is that right?
Yes, you
All right.
can open the nominations and then I will call the vote.
I'm going to open the nominations and nominate Mayor Pro Tem Miller to be the mayor and Councilmember Frost to be the mayor pro tem.
Second.
All right. Do we have any other nominations? Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Frost,
Aye.
Councilmember Vixoric,
Aye.
Councilmember Miller,
Aye.
Councilmember Federico.
Aye.
Okay, so congratulations, Mayor Miller and Mayor Pro Tem Frost.
You just had me go. All right.
You don't need this.
Okay. What? Oh, thank you. We're gonna get down there. Okay. Thank you very much, colleagues on the council. It's always kind of humbling when your colleagues pick you to lead. That puts. Sorry, and have my mic on. I'm a little nervous already. But it's always really enriching when your council members elect you to be their leader. And this has really been a great year for us. Every person on this council is now either entering a leadership role or has been in a leadership role. And that just goes to show you the strength of your elected officials in Dana Point. With that, we're going to actually do a little presentation to our outgoing mayor, Jamie Federico, and we'll head down into the. Is this on? So as the incoming mayor, it's always a privilege. You get to honor the outgoing mayor and talk about all the great things that they accomplished over the year. And Jamie, being only in his third year on council, as a mayor, has done a fantastic job, especially through a pandemic. He came in and he spearheaded our efforts on our updating our strategic plan. Didn't quite get it done, but he's still going to be involved in that. He's going to get that done before he gets off council. Under his leadership, something we've been working on for almost 7 years, he pushed through the Doheny Village update. And we have that out in front of the Coastal Commission right now for approval. He got our housing element done. He got our ADU ordinance done. If you think about that, and people that aren't familiar with this process, that's a heavy, heavy lift. And for somebody to do that in only their third year on council and accomplish all that, it's really amazing. He sits on the OC Housing Trust Board with ACCOC. So he works with trying to develop more affordable housing in the county. There's a fund out there to help the developers do that. And so he's very active there. He works with CASA, that's our animal shelter. He works on South Coast Water District, the League of California Cities, Orange County Association of Mayors. He's very, very active, and let alone he runs his own business as well. So, he advocates for all the small businesses in the community. You heard it earlier tonight. He ran the turkey trot in an inflatable turkey costume. Yeah, who would have thought about doing that? But Jamie would, and that's why he's been such a great mayor. In his spare time, he has been. He's crazy. In his spare time, he built a new bunny facility at the San Clemente. Good job, buddy. It's right there. That's funny. I didn't even see that. And he's a member and supports numerous nonprofits. The United Ways, United for Financial Leadership, the 5th Marines Regiment Support Group, Veterans of Foreign Wars. He is so active in the military community. And one of the things that he doesn't talk about, but I'm going to bring it up tonight, this guy is so loyal. He spent hours and days helping people get out of Afghanistan, family members of his interpreters, the people that he cared about that saved his life and he saved theirs. This is who this man is. And I want to say thank you for everything you've done for this city and everything you're going to continue to do. And with that, one of the great things you get as you're outgoing is you get your own gavel. So there you go, Jamie. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate all the kind words. And it is really rewarding and an honor to turn the mayorship over to you. Joe is very much become the elder statesman up here on our council. And we know how well you'll represent us out in the county and outside the community. But we also know how well you're going to lead us here as our chair, the chair of our council. So good luck, and no better guy to do it right now. With that said, I being the mayor really has only sort of two responsibilities. You are the chair of these meetings. So I want to thank all of my colleagues, particularly Councilmember Vic Sorick, whose I know mind was wanted to explode many times when I led a pretty loose meeting, but it's because of all your professionalism and the collegiality and the collaborative nature of this council that we could do things that way. And I think we even almost had fun sometimes. So sometimes, Rick, I did it just to spite you. But really, if we were not that professional and collegial, I would not have done things that way, but we could because of you guys. Joe mentioned a lot of things he said that I accomplished. He and I both know this. This is because it's, the day to give me the gavel. He said me, but we all know the staff accomplished all those things in a very challenging year. This city hall never let COVID get in the way of progress. And all those things he mentioned are monumental. While I did none of it, I am proud to have, been the chair of this group while we oversaw the staff and watched the staff do it. So thank you to all the staff. In particular, so the rest of what you do as the mayor is you represent the city out either in the community or out in the county on numerous different boards and commissions that you have to go to and vote on things or cut ribbons and do things here locally in the community. That takes a ton of time. I didn't realize it. So thank you to my wife for putting up with the schedule. Thank you to Holly Martino for managing the schedule and getting me where I'm supposed to go. I'm not always good at that sort of thing. I'm not very organized. Thank you, Holly. And thank you to our residents, our business community, our businesses, our Chamber of Commerce, all of our community groups for making this a city that is easy to want to represent. I'll let you sort of think on that. I'll leave it with that. This is an easy city to want to stand out there and say, I represent this group. So thank you all very much. It's been an honor to serve you guys, and have a happy holidays.
All right. Well, with all that said and all those great accolades, we still have to finish a meeting. So that brings us to council reports. Mr. Villar, anything to report? Really? Oh, I'm sorry. Frost. Frost, sorry. See, I screwed up my first time. I tell you this happens all the time.
I think I'm supposed to go second to last, but I'll go ahead and kick it off. I have turned in my list of meetings, and real quick, just Joe, you did a fantastic job recognizing our outgoing mayor, and I know Councilmember Villar's not here, but he would echo my statements. Boy, as a new council member coming in, you think you know everything, and I'll tell you what, you learn a lot from executive sort of city staff, but we also learn a lot from you three, and you guys did a fantastic job not only the process of meetings, interacting with residents, but also interacting with staff, treating staff with respect, which you three do a tremendous job. And through all that, I never felt once as though my decisions on issues, if they differed from yours, mattered in how you helped me come along as a council member. So really, you three, and I know Councilmember Villar would agree with me, have really taught me and Councilmember Villar a lot in our first year. So thank you very much.
Councilman Victor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing to report. Turn in my list of meetings.
Councilmember.
Just guy over
Federico.
here on the right. Yeah.
Zach.
Yep. I have turned in my list of meetings. I don't know, probably no one really looks, but if you do look closely at me, it looks like I got in a fight with the city attorney. Because if you look closely at him, it looks like he got in a fight too. I'm not sure what his is from, but I actually got stung by a bee. And the reason I tell the story is I got stung by a bee Saturday picking up our Christmas tree at the Dana Hills High School baseball team Christmas tree fundraiser, which is an awesome place aside from the bees to get your tree. They deliver them right to the high school parking lot. You pick them up on Saturday morning. So next year, mark your calendar and order your Christmas tree from the Dana Hills High School baseball team Christmas tree fundraiser. Wear goggles, shop local, have a great holidays. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm a little shocked you talk about that. The first rule is don't talk about Fight Club. So anyway, I want to apologize to Mayor Pro Tem Frost. You're correct. I should have went to you second to last and calling you Councilmember Villar. I told you when you get up here, sometimes you forget stuff. So I've turned in my list of meetings. I just want to thank the city for everything they've done with the beautiful Christmas decorations, the chamber for the well-run turkey trot. I apologize I didn't make it down there this year. Yeah, I know, Vicky. I'm gonna get to it. And everything the staff has done for a very difficult year. You know, we lit the Pines Park tree last night. What? What? I don't know what you. Anyway, we lit the Pines Park tree last night. We had Santa at the Plaza Park. God, I'm losing it up here tonight. I don't know what's going on. This renders broke my concentration. It's not my fault. It can't be. But anyway, no, that's not true. So you guys have done such a great job for this community and bringing so many children out, having a great holiday season. I just want to thank my kids showed up here tonight for to see me become mayor. I really appreciate you guys coming down. I know it's hard to get off the couch and come see your dad at work sometimes. So I do appreciate that. With that, want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Oh, I'm sorry, staff reports. We'll get there. I'm not done. Not done. Thank you. Now I know what you're saying. But yeah, happy holidays. Shop local, eat local, support your local businesses, and you know, help out your fellow neighbors if you can do it. With that, any staff reports? Mr. Munoz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have one item to report out of closed session this evening. On our closed session agenda, under existing litigation, we had a case involving the national opioid settlement. It's the matter of In Re National Prescription Opioid Litigation number 1:17. In closed session this evening, the council authorized participating in the settlement and authorized the city manager to execute any documents necessary for that to occur in a manner where funds that were allocated for the city of Dana Point, which are approximately $15,000, will go to the county for the county to manage. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. Kilbrew.
Yes, I'd like to start off with congratulating our city clerk for gaining her certified municipal clerk status. She passed a bunch of tests to get there, so it's a big step in her career. Congratulate Mayor Miller. Looking forward to working with you this year, and with Michael Frost as Mayor Pro Tem. Absolutely, congratulations, and thank you, Jamie, for working so closely with me the last year. But one thing I know is our relationship, as far working relationship, will not change at all other than the ribbon cuttings. Work very closely with you, and I really appreciate your input and guidance and so forth. Happy holidays. We still have a great show coming up this weekend with the Dana Point Harbor Boat Parade. Looking forward to that. It'll be 3 nights, cold nights, so bundle up when you head down there. And happy holidays. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Thank you. One last thing that I forgot to mention. I did commit to taking a pie in the face if they signed up 160 people for the chamber for the turkey trot. And I know Ms. McMurtry's out there, and we will pick a date. Maybe you can raffle off who gets to hit me. So, all right. So we'll pick a date. We'll announce it, and we'll go out and get that done. With that brings us to the adjournment. The next regular meeting of the City Council will be January 18th, 2022 at 5 p.m. in the City Council chamber located at 33282 Golden Lantern, Suite 210, Dana Point, California. With that, we are adjourned, and everybody have a great holiday season.